Philippi and in those men and women's lives because of their decision to be partners in the gospel. Now, what does the word partner mean? Now, you're going to recognize the Greek word. It's koinonia. When you think koinonia, in my neck of the woods, we think fellowship, because that's a good translation, the fellowship of the gospel. In my neck of the woods, when we say let's have some fellowship, we think macaroni pasta, we think fried chicken, and we think some desserts. We think fellowship like that. What about you all? Like you all do potlucks? Yeah, table fellowship. Yeah, you just break bread together. It's a good thing. But Paul's not talking about that here. He's not talking about a potluck supper. He's not talking about pasta and chicken and dessert and bread. He's talking about something he's talking about something a little bigger, as important as that table fellowship is. It's like glue for us for sure. But he's talking about something that's over that. And that's a table fellowship with living God. That's a table fellowship with a crucified and resurrected Christ. That's a table fellowship with a Holy Spirit who is at work in us. And they have decided that they are going to share in the story of Jesus. Now just think what that's going to do to them. Some of these people aren't going to actually live out their life as long as they could have had they kept going to the temple and saying Caesar is Lord. Some of them are going to lose their life. Some of them are going to lose their homes. Some of them are going to be forcibly removed out of the community because of their determination to stay true to the gospel, to be a partner with this message that only Christ is King. What is a partnership? What's a good definition of a partnership? When you hear that word, what do you think? Co-laborers, an intimacy. Paul's doing some of it, but as much as Paul's doing it, they're doing it. They don't have a group of people, a small group who's doing something and everyone else is watching. Uh-oh, I hit something, didn't I? They have in their heart said, I'm going to make sure in the community of Philippi the gospel of Christ comes to much as opposed to little. I'm going to do my part in my home, in my church, in my community, in my neighborhood, and we are going to make sure that the gospel of Christ is not diminished in any kind of way. If we'll make a commitment to that, if you'll make a commitment to that, if Mark makes a commitment to that, if I make a commitment to that, if the church I pastor in Auburn makes a commitment to that, Jesus Christ cannot be stopped in Northern California or in Southern California or in the West Coast or anywhere else. That's the reality. It's a great underdog story. Like, I'm living right now in the middle of an underdog story. In addition to being pastor, I'm the dean of the graduate school over at Epic Bible College and Graduate School. And it has no business having big dreams, but it has some big dreams. And I have a doctorate from Princeton, and I got a chance to benefit from that kind of education. And I made a decision going to Epic that I was going to provide in the classroom a lot I can't control. In anyone in my spot, you can't control a lot about any school, but I decided I could control one thing. I could control the fact that the men and women who make a decision to go to that school, when they enter into that classroom, they're going to get a world-class education. They're going to read a lot. They're going to write a lot. They're going to work harder academically than they've ever worked before in their life. And it's it's an amazing experience. We started with 3 students, and now 3 or 4 years later, we're over 60 students in that program. It's incredibly good. Veronica Parker's one of the students, and she just gave a witness. She worked pretty hard in that class, right? So it's a great thing. If you can just see God does more than you could reasonably expect, just like we were singing. There's no one else like him. When you put your heart into something and you say, I'm going to be partners with the right thing, then God has a chance to break out. Can I say 2 things about this partnership thing, and then we'll go on to this verse 6. First of all, if you're going to be partners with the gospel, not first of all partners with your church, not first of all partners with us, but partners with him, if that's the starting spot, then I have a challenge for you. First of all, work twice as hard on the partnership than on the size of your platform. Our church environment, Mark knows this. You go to conferences, you go to retreats, you go to places where you get some ideas about being a pastor, and 99% of what you get is about increasing your platform. That's good. Do some marketing, use social media. I use that. You all use that. It's good. But at the end of the day, when we work harder on our platform than on the partnership, well, whatever we end up growing on a platform isn't necessarily the